Dust covered Sarah's living room, just as hopelessness covered her soul. The bank statement in her hands was a testament to failure. The red numbers screamed the obvious. A lifetime of savings meant for retirement had evaporated. At 55, she found herself trapped in a financial nightmare, where the future seemed increasingly like a distant mirage, a luxury she might never achieve. Every bill that arrived felt like a blow. A knot tightened in her stomach, and the memory of years dedicated to hard work, now seeming in vain, gnawed at her. The fear of becoming a burden to her children or of never being able to stop working was an overwhelming reality, a constant shadow that obscured her days and nights. The house, once a refuge, now felt like a prison of worries, each corner whispering memories of promises of financial security that never materialized. What had gone wrong? Sarah wondered, as tears blurred her vision, and the feeling of being on the edge of a financial precipice became increasingly real and terrifying. She felt alone, ashamed, and the idea that her future would be a continuous struggle seemed inevitable, almost predestined. The weight of failure was so immense that, at times, she found herself wondering if it was even worth continuing to fight such a strong current. It was a turning point where the pain of the present forced a reevaluation of everything. Robert, a seasoned 62-year-old accountant from Chicago, had always been a pillar of his family and community. He was the one everyone turned to for financial advice, a figure of wisdom and stability. However, a series of disastrous investments in volatile tech stocks and unexpected medical expenses for his elderly mother pushed him to a breaking point. He, who once advised his clients on meticulous financial planning, now found himself in a situation where bankruptcy seemed the only honorable way out of the disaster. The shame and frustration were palpable, eroding his self-esteem and stealing his sleep. Many postpone this crucial conversation, believing they will have plenty of time to save. But the reality is that time is a crucial and unforgiving factor in wealth growth through compound interest. The sooner one starts, the greater the impact of the money's snowball effect. Most people underestimate how much they will need to live comfortably in retirement, and living costs continue to rise exponentially, exceeding expectations. Chronic stress, paralyzing anxiety, and deep depression are common consequences for those facing the imminent threat of financial ruin. Sleep is profoundly disturbed. Family and social relationships can be irreversibly affected, and the quality of life is drastically reduced, turning existence into a heavy burden. It's a vicious cycle where financial stress affects the ability to make clear and rational decisions, which, in turn, further aggravates the financial situation, creating a downward spiral of despair. Bankruptcy, therefore, is not just the end of a financial era, but a painful turning point that demands a complete reevaluation of priorities and a proactive approach to rebuilding life from the ashes, requiring courage and resilience. The path is arduous and full of obstacles, but recovery is possible, provided there is unwavering will and the right strategies are applied with discipline and perseverance. Another significant factor is the ripple effect of indebtedness. Student loans that extend into adulthood and weigh on the budget for decades. Mortgages that consume a disproportionate part of monthly income, and the use of credit cards to cover basic expenses. A clear sign that finances are out of control. But the relief was brief, overshadowed by the urgency and magnitude of finding a way out. The reality of bankruptcy, which he had so often helped others avoid with his knowledge and experience, was now knocking at his own door, demanding his immediate attention and action. His greatest challenge would be to apply the principles he always preached to his own life, and to find the inner strength to start over, even in the face of the most severe adversity and public shame. He knew that the first step was to acknowledge the gravity of the situation without pretense and to stop endlessly blaming himself, focusing all his energy on real recovery strategies. The path to a peaceful retirement was blocked by gigantic obstacles, but not completely closed. There was a small glimmer of light on the horizon, and he was determined to find it and tread the new path, no matter how difficult and uncertain it might be, step by step. The culture of consumption, driven by aggressive advertising and easy credit, also contributes to many living beyond their means, accumulating debts that become unpayable over time, leading to a vicious cycle of relentless interest and collections. Dependence on a single income stream and a lack of investment diversification are also common pitfalls that lead to financial instability, especially in an increasingly volatile and uncertain job market. Sleepless nights, filled with frenzied mental calculations and overwhelming worries, became routine. He knew the problem wasn't just his. It was a reflection of a painful reality that many middle-aged Americans face. People are not taught how to manage their finances from an early age, and the complexity of modern financial products can be intimidating and confusing, leading to paralysis or impulsive decisions. This leads to hasty decisions, such as high-risk investments without proper knowledge or falling for fraudulent schemes that promise unrealistic returns, attracting the desperate and vulnerable. Many avoid looking at their bank statements or their debts in a kind of denial that only exacerbates the problem, turning a small hole into an unfathomable abyss. The belief that everything will sort itself out is a dangerous and illusory thought, a form of self-deception that postpones resolution. Furthermore, the social pressure to maintain a certain lifestyle, even if financially unsustainable, leads many to spend more than they can afford, perpetuating a vicious cycle of debt and constant stress. Retirement in this scenario becomes an unattainable luxury, and the fear of having to work until the end of their lives or relying on others for survival is a frightening and desolate reality that haunts millions of families, robbing them of their peace. But rarely discussed openly, hidden beneath a veil of apparent prosperity. Each morning, he forced himself to wear a smile, but inside, panic devoured him. And the vision of the future was blurry and uncertain, a tangle of uncertainties and deep fears that seemed endless. According to recent data from the American Bankruptcy Institute, the number of personal bankruptcy filings in the U.S., especially among those aged 45 to 64, has shown a worrying increase. In 2023, over 400,000 Americans filed for bankruptcy, and a significant portion of these individuals were precisely in middle age, with retirement on the horizon increasingly distant. The main causes, according to experts, are a dangerous combination of excessive spending driven by rampant consumerism, a chronic lack of planning for unforeseen events like serious illness or sudden job loss, overwhelming credit card debt with sky-high interest rates, and, in many cases, high and unexpected healthcare costs, a brutal reality of the American system that can decimate savings. Many reach this point because they haven't built a robust enough emergency fund or have underestimated the devastating impact of a global economic crisis or a personal tragedy. Inflation also plays a cruel role, eroding families' purchasing power and making it increasingly difficult for them to keep up with bills, even with a stable job, slowly suffocating them. Financial planning experts, such as renowned consultant Sue Zorman, emphasize that one of the biggest mistakes is the lack of a well-defined and implemented retirement plan from an early age. The lack of basic financial literacy is also an Achilles heel for many Americans. In extreme cases, like Robert's, bankruptcy is not just a financial problem, but also a devastating blow to mental and emotional health. For Robert, the realization that he wasn't alone in his struggle brought a small sense of relief, a spark of hope amidst the deepest darkness. Mike's house, a 58-year-old former engineer from California, was under imminent threat of foreclosure, the symbol of a lifetime of work about to be ripped away from him. He had lost his job in the devastating 2008 crisis and, since then, had barely managed to stay afloat with sporadic temporary jobs that barely covered basic expenses and the mortgage. The accumulated debts seemed like an insurmountable mountain, Each collection noticed an added weight on his shoulders, and the future, which once seemed promising and full of plans, had turned into an abyss of uncertainty and despair. Retirement for him was an abstract concept, almost a cruel sarcasm, a promise that would never be fulfilled. And credit card companies to renegotiate the terms of his loans and credit cards. He managed to reduce exorbitant interest rates and establish more realistic and flexible payment plans, which relieved immediate pressure and gave him crucial financial breathing room. He utilized his engineering skills to take on smaller freelance consulting projects, offering his technical expertise to companies that needed temporary support. He also started selling unused and accumulated items in his home through online platforms like eBay and Craigslist, turning what was once just clutter into useful cash. Susan explained to Mike that having a fund for unforeseen events is essential to prevent new financial crises from occurring and knocking him down again. He began to save a small amount every month, even if it was just $20 or $50, with the discipline of an athlete. There are no magic solutions or instant shortcuts, but rather a continuous commitment to discipline, patience, and persistence. He didn't recover all his losses overnight, but by following a well-defined plan and staying firm in his goals, he managed to save his house from foreclosure and, more importantly, restore his dignity, hope, and belief in himself. His example shows that, even in extreme financial situations, it is perfectly possible to get out of the hole with unwavering determination and the right strategies. Retirement was still a challenge to overcome, but now, instead of an unfathomable abyss, it seemed like an achievable horizon, a destination he could, eventually, reach with much effort and renewed faith. This reserve, little by little, grew and provided a sense of security and peace of mind. Many personal finance experts recommend having at least 3 to 6 months of basic expenses saved to cover unexpected situations such as job loss, urgent health problems, or unexpected home or car repairs. Building this reserve is a gradual and continuous process, but absolutely essential to ensure long-term financial stability and prevent falling back into debt in case of unforeseen circumstances. It is the cornerstone of any financial safety plan. The extra income, however small initially, was crucial for supplementing his tight budget and accelerating debt repayment, giving him breathing room. Many middle-aged Americans, with their vast accumulated professional experience, can find new opportunities in the so-called gig economy, whether as independent consultants, private tutors, rideshare drivers, or even by exploring hobbies that can generate income such as crafting or cooking classes. The Internet, with its countless connecting platforms, offers a universe of possibilities for those looking to supplement their income flexibly. For credit card debts, they adopted the strategy known as the debt snowball, which involves paying off the smallest debt first, creating a sense of immediate progress and motivation, and then using the freed-up payment to attack the next debt, gaining momentum and psychological relief. Many feel intimidated by direct negotiation with creditors, but the truth is that, in many cases, creditors prefer to receive part of the money through an agreement than lose everything in a bankruptcy process. This approach, though challenging and requiring great patience, gave Mike a sense of control over his financial life that he hadn't felt in years. A feeling that things could, in fact, improve. With every letter from the bank, his heart raced frantically, and panic set in, paralyzing him. He remembered the times he planned exotic trips and ambitious projects for the future, and now, the only journey he saw was back to square one, but with no clear direction, just the darkness of impending bankruptcy. Desperate and unsure who to turn to, Mike sought help from a non-profit credit counseling agency. There, he met Susan, an experienced and empathetic financial counselor who encouraged him to face the reality of his debts head-on, no matter how painful it was. The first crucial strategy they implemented was the creation of a strict and detailed budget. Mike recorded every dollar spent, no matter how small, from his morning coffee to transportation costs, and identified where money was uncontrollably leaking. He ruthlessly cut non-essential expenses, such as expensive dinners out, unnecessary streaming service subscriptions, and even small impulse purchases that added up. Surprisingly, he discovered that small daily expenses, like expensive coffees and quick snacks, amounted to a considerable sum by the end of the month, silent thieves of his money. This meticulous financial audit revealed holes he had never noticed, and the first real step towards recovery was to plug these financial leaks, one by one, with iron discipline. The second step was to negotiate tirelessly with creditors. Mike, with Susan's patient help, contacted banks. In addition to cutting expenses and negotiating debts, Mike actively began seeking additional income streams. Another fundamental strategy was the creation of an emergency fund, even if small, built brick by brick. The most important lesson Mike learned on his painful journey was that financial recovery is a marathon, not a sprint. Maria, a 50-year-old teacher from New York, had always been methodical and organized in her professional life, with impeccable deadlines and planning, to the admiration of her colleagues. But when it came to personal finances, she felt completely lost, navigating a sea of uncertainties without a compass or map. Despite having a good salary and a stable job, Maria accumulated credit card debts that seemed to grow every day, and she couldn't save a single dollar for retirement, which was fast approaching. Her biggest mistake was a fundamental lack of understanding about how money worked, especially the power of compound interest, both in her favor when applied to investments, and cruelly against her in the case of debts. She bought what she wanted on impulse, without much thought for long-term consequences, living in the present and ignoring the warning signs of an uncertain and frightening future. She meticulously mapped out her income and expenses, category by category, and for the first time in her life, had a clear and alarming view of where her money was truly going. She discovered that she spent too much on non-essentials, such as expensive daily coffees, unnecessary clothes, and costly dinners at restaurants, and that she could redirect some of these amounts to pay off her most burdensome debts and to save for retirement. This process, initially tedious and challenging, became an empowering habit, giving her a sense of control over her finances that she had never experienced before, immense relief. She started with low-risk, easy-to-understand investments, such as index funds that replicate market performance, and gradually learned about more diversified and complex options, always with the careful guidance of a certified financial advisor. Over time, she paid off all her debts, one by one, built a solid retirement fund, and felt a freedom and peace of mind she had never imagined possible. She realized that financial education is not just about numbers and spreadsheets, but about empowerment, autonomy, and tranquility. Her story is a clear and inspiring example of how knowledge and the application of basic financial principles can be a powerful tool to avoid bankruptcy and build a secure and comfortable financial future, even when starting later in life. She became a passionate advocate for financial education, sharing her experiences and lessons learned with friends and colleagues, showing that it's never too late to learn how to manage money and transform your reality, achieving the much-desired financial freedom. Knowledge of portfolio diversification and the importance of not putting all eggs in one basket helped her make more informed decisions and avoid common mistakes, such as following hot stock tips without proper research and analysis. She learned that investing is not a game of luck or speculation, but a strategy based on data, patience, and a long-term horizon, fundamental for building sustainable wealth. Many Americans miserably fail to create a budget and, therefore, live in a financial fog, without knowing exactly where they are and where they are going, perpetuating the cycle of indebtedness and stress. With each new debt, she felt a mixture of overwhelming guilt and helplessness, trapped in a vicious cycle she didn't know how to break, feeling increasingly cornered and without a way out. She set up automatic transfers from her checking account to a dedicated retirement savings account and for the minimum payment of her credit card debts. This ensured that she was always ahead and that money was saved before she even had a chance to spend it impulsively. Automation removes the need for daily discipline and ensures that financial progress continues, even in moments of distraction or fatigue. Many financial advisors recommend automating at least 10% of your monthly income for savings and investments, making saving a priority, not an option. This small habit change made a gigantic difference in the growth of her wealth, acting as a silent engine of wealth accumulation. The decisive turning point for Maria occurred when she decided, at a friend's persistent urging, to attend a free financial education workshop offered by her local community. There, she was exposed to basic concepts that had never been taught to her in school or at home. The first shock was understanding the devastating impact of interest on her debts. She realized that the small debts accumulated on her credit cards were growing exponentially, transforming into financial monsters that suffocated her, doubling and tripling the amount owed. On the other hand, she also understood that this same magical principle could work in her favor in investments if she started saving and investing consistently, multiplying her capital over time. This revelation made her completely reevaluate her relationship with money, realizing that it wasn't just about how much she earned, but fundamentally about how she managed what she already had, and the importance of making every penny count. This new perspective was a turning point in her financial life, a true epiphany. With this new awareness, Maria began to apply what she learned, starting with the most fundamental step, creating a detailed and realistic budget. Another crucial strategy Maria implemented was the automation of savings and debt payments. Maria also delved deeper into understanding the different types of investments and the importance of risk management. Maria's transformation was not just financial, but also deeply personal and emotional. David, a talented 52-year-old graphic designer from Seattle, saw his income drastically decline after an unexpected restructuring at the company where he had worked for years. With retirement looming on a hazy horizon and bills piling up on his desk, he realized that relying on a single income source was a risk he could no longer afford to take. The stress and uncertainty corroded his inner peace and confidence, leaving him restless. He realized that his graphic design skills, which were previously exclusive to his formal employment, could be monetized on online freelance platforms like Upwork and Fiverr, where there was a growing demand for talent. He began to take on small projects independently, offering his services to companies and individuals who needed branding, logo creation, marketing materials, or website design. The extra work, initially challenging to balance with his main job and family time, began to generate an additional flow of money that made a huge difference in his tight budget, relieving pressure and giving him breathing room. Many middle-aged Americans with their vast accumulated professional experience can find new opportunities in the so-called gig economy. He didn't have enough capital to buy an entire property, but explored the possibility of investing in REITs. REITs are companies that own, operate, or finance income-generating real estate, such as shopping malls, offices, and apartments. He increased his contributions, especially to take advantage of the company's matching, which is essentially free money for his retirement, a bonus that many neglect and miss out on. For those who have reached age 50 or older, it is possible to make catch-up contributions, allowing them to save additional amounts to compensate for lost time in their youth. This is one of the best and most efficient ways to accelerate retirement savings growth, with additional tax benefits that can represent significant savings and boost wealth, and allow investors to buy shares in these companies, participating in the profits of the real estate market without the need to buy, manage, or finance physical properties. This was an accessible way to enter the real estate market and receive regular dividends, increasing his passive income stream consistently. He not only stabilized his finances, relieving immediate stress, but also built a solid and diversified investment portfolio that would give him more security and peace of mind in retirement. His story is a testament that even in times of economic uncertainty and in middle age, it is possible to take control and build a more solid financial future, provided there is proactivity, a pursuit of knowledge, and discipline. He learned that the key to prosperity was not just working longer hours and burning out, but working smarter, utilizing diverse income sources and well-thought-out investment strategies to protect and secure his future and that of his family. Passive income is crucial for retirement, as it provides a cash flow that does not depend on active and continuous work, freeing up time and energy for other activities or for rest. Whether as independent consultants, private tutors, rideshare drivers, or even by exploring hobbies that can generate income such as crafting or cooking classes, the Internet, with its countless connecting platforms, offers a universe of possibilities for those looking to supplement their income flexibly. He was accustomed to a comfortable life with a good standard of living, but the reality of his diminished income made him see the urgent need to reinvent himself, seeking new. He knew that, even in middle age, time was his greatest remaining asset for capital growth, and that he needed to make his money work tirelessly for him. He consulted a certified financial planner who guided him on the crucial importance of diversifying investments to mitigate risks and maximize returns. He allocated part of his income to low-cost index funds, which offer exposure to a broad market and have significantly lower management costs than actively managed investment funds. Diversification is essential to reduce risks and ensure consistent long-term growth, especially when the retirement horizon is shorter, requiring a good balance between risk and return, and creative ways to ensure his financial security in the future and the long-awaited retirement before it was too late. The concern for his home and supporting his family pushed him to act. The first strategy David adopted with determination was to seek active extra income sources. With the extra income becoming more consistent, David began to explore smart investments for retirement, thinking about the long term and building a solid asset base. David also considered real estate investments as a form of passive income, without the headache of managing physical properties. Another vital strategy for David was the maximization of contributions to retirement plans offered by his employer, such as the 401. The strategic combination of extra income and smart investments radically transformed David's financial situation. Emily, a 59-year-old former marketing executive from Boston, had overcome bankruptcy after years of rigorous planning and unwavering discipline. However, she knew that recovery was not the end of the journey, but the beginning of a new and continuous commitment to build a truly sustainable and resilient financial future. The fear of relapsing into debt and crises constantly haunted her, and she was more determined than ever to ensure that the stability she had achieved with so much effort was lasting, not just a temporary relief. She understood that the biggest challenge was to maintain discipline, keep learning, adapt to constant economic and personal changes, and remain vigilant not to repeat the past mistakes that led her to ruin. The main lesson Emily internalized was the need for a continuous, flexible, and adaptable budget. She began carefully documenting all her assets, investments, insurance policies, account passwords, and debts, and openly discussed her financial plans with her children, ensuring they were aware and prepared for any eventuality. She also appointed a trusted financial power of attorney in case she became incapacitated from managing her own finances, ensuring that her affairs would be taken care of. This planning, although it may seem morbid or uncomfortable for many, ensures that loved ones are prepared for any eventuality. She not only recovered from a painful bankruptcy, but built a solid and unshakable foundation for her retirement, living with more peace of mind and security than she had ever experienced before. Her journey shows that strategic planning, the tireless pursuit of knowledge, and continuous discipline are the keys, not just to getting out of financial trouble, but to staying out of it and ensuring a dignified, peaceful retirement with the freedom to enjoy life. The future is, by nature, uncertain, but with a solid plan, an open mind, and a proactive mindset, it is perfectly possible to face it with confidence and deep peace of mind, transforming challenges into opportunities for growth. And that wishes are fulfilled, even in unexpected and difficult situations. Many Americans postpone this crucial conversation, leaving their families in complex and stressful financial situations when something unexpected happens, adding more pain to loss. She didn't just create an initial detailed budget, but meticulously reviewed it every month, adapting it to changes in her income and unexpected expenses, such as home repairs or medical bills. This helped her quickly identify deviations and make adjustments before they became larger, uncontrollable problems. She assiduously read books on personal finance and investments, followed market news, and actively participated in online seminars and webinars, always seeking to improve her knowledge. The financial world is constantly and rapidly changing, and staying updated on trends and opportunities is crucial to making informed decisions and avoiding falling into new traps or missing opportunities. This continuous learning helped her adjust her investment strategies, identify new growth opportunities, and protect herself against emerging risks. Financial education is not a one-time event, but a continuous and lifelong learning process, an endless journey that rewards those who remain curious and engaged, offering them the tools to successfully navigate the complex world of finance. Keeping a constant and analytical eye on finances is essential to ensure that one is always in control, avoiding unpleasant surprises and the silent accumulation of debt. A living budget is one that adapts to the fluctuating realities of life, not just a static document forgotten in a drawer. This constant vigilance became a habit that protected her against future crises. Emily also prioritized the diversification of her income sources and investments as a fundamental protection strategy. After bankruptcy, she understood that relying on a single income source was a monumental risk she could no longer afford. She not only kept a part-time job that helped cover basic expenses, but also continued with her freelance marketing consulting projects and invested in diversified funds, such as ETF, as in REITs, spreading her resources across different asset classes. This approach of multiple income sources and investments spread across different asset classes, such as stocks, bonds, and real estate, protected her against market volatility and potential shocks in any single sector, ensuring a safety net. Diversification is one of the cornerstones of long-term financial security, minimizing the impact of any individual loss. Another crucial strategy Emily implemented was the creation of a comprehensive financial succession plan. Emily committed to continuous financial education as a pillar of her new life. Emily's story is a powerful example of how resilience, discipline, and proactivity can lead to a truly sustainable and prosperous financial future.